Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Calvin Cam. It's been a while since we've been doing this, but you know what? It's The Last of Us. It's back. It's here. We started this whole podcast based off of The Last of Us season 1 back in 2 years ago now.
It was like 2 years ago, yeah,
and
something like that.
That was really, really great, and kind of just kicked off this whole, career change, career choice for me, and I am so grateful. And this is great. So here we are, 2 years later. The Last of Us season 2 just aired. We have 2 episodes in so far, and we're gonna go over these episodes today with a very special guest. All right, everybody, here we go. The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 1 and 2 breakdown with our special guest, Mike, here. He's here joining us. Thanks for being here, Mike.
Thanks you guys for having me here.
Mike is a huge Last of Us fan. This is like his favorite game of all time. It's my third favorite game of all time. And I'm excited to share the love and talk about this franchise with somebody who knows their stuff, and it's good stuff. Of course, Anthony's over here too. We're not forgetting.
Yeah,
Anthony.
don't forget about me. But Mike is an old friend. He's been part of our gaming community for a very long time, and he wanted to come on the show for this because he loves this game so much. I also love it as well.
Yeah. Anthony is currently playing through The Last of Us 2.
Yeah, I'm playing through it right now. So I'm caught up enough to talk about the first 2 episodes of the show. But so far, I'm liking the game and I'm liking the show. There's a lot of changes, but we'll get into that soon enough.
Yeah. All right. So diving into episode 1, this was very interesting. I had a lot of mixed feelings initially, and then upon rewatch, I liked it a lot more because I've seen the first episode twice, and I think that all in all, as an adaptation, they did a pretty good job. There's some choices that I didn't agree with, and I'm trying to think. Do you guys want to start with like more of the negatives or the positives first?
Let's get the negatives out of the way.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, so negatives, I think that I'm amongst the majority of the internet on this one. And of course, you guys know what I'm going to talk about. But I just don't see Bella Ramsey as Ellie. It's just not. It just is something about her. I know that she's a phenomenal actress. I know that she has amazing line delivery and such not. But I just can't physically. I don't see her as Ellie. So
a few things with that. The character-wise, like personality-wise, I think she nails it for sure.
yeah.
But the time between the first game and the second game is like 5 years. Well, Ellie in the show stayed the same size. You know what I mean? Like she didn't grow up any.
No.
And looks the part. No, not really. But overall, performance-wise, I think that she is doing awesome as far as portraying Ellie. But yeah, looks. But I'm not gonna. I mean, there's a lot of memes out there, a lot of pictures, and I mean, I think I even saw Buzz Lightyear's face on one of them, and I was like, wow. I mean, that's. But I guess you can't win them all. You can't please everyone with that stuff. But overall, though, I think she's killing it for sure.
It's what we got, and that's how I tend to look at things that I don't like in terms of this. I'm just like, well, it is what it is, and we're going forward. So
yeah, pretty much.
I can't recast her myself. I don't have that power. But yeah, I've seen a ton of memes. Right, I saw her face posted on like all of PlayStation's main IP people, like Kratos and stuff.
It's pretty bad. I've sent Anthony all the ones that I've seen so far.
Yes, Mike sent me a bunch of memes on Ellie, and there's no way we can cast her AI with like Ashley Williams or anything, because that would be great. But
No,
Ashley
but
Williams
if you
was
noticed
awesome.
at the end of the
Ashley
second
Johnson.
episode,
Or Ashley Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that mixed up.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
if you notice at the end of the second episode, it's actually her singing that song because that's the same voice who sings it in the game.
Okay, and also another con that I have is I felt like the time jump is a little bit. I don't know if it's necessarily a negative thought, but like it feels very. it just feels wrong to me. It felt wrong to me in terms of like where we were at in the game, and I think that has a lot to with what you said, Mike, in terms of like Ellie's size. She is literally the same. She's not like grown
Doesn't
up
change.
at all. And also to add on to that, I also feel like her mental attitude hasn't changed either.
No, she still has that
Is very
know,
arrogant and very
teenage, do whatever I want, you know.
And I'm just like, Ellie's supposed to be a little bit more seasoned at this point. She's been doing patrols. She's been doing, work around the community. She's had probably, just with her adventure with Joel alone in the first season, the first part, all the infected and experience that she's had there has seasoned her. But like, it's almost as if none of that happened, especially the part where Dina and Ellie go to the supermarket with their first patrol. I thought they were just too, like, they're just being dumb. They're like, oh, we'll go check it out.
Yeah.
And
Being a little rambunctious for sure.
Yeah, I just was like, okay, I don't really like that. As somebody who's played the game, as somebody who hasn't, thinking of it in terms of a new, fresh pair of eyes on this franchise, like, I guess I wouldn't question that. But as somebody who loves the franchise, I'm like, no, I'd like to see, my Ellie a little bit more seasoned at this point.
Also, I think that part with the supermarket was in the game. It's different. Like it's, in that patrol after the whole event happens with Joel and Seth and all that thing. All the opening sequences are totally different. So that part is different. Also, we have Ellie bitten again.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's another thing is just like it's the total lack of. I mean, Joel at this point in the game, he has and his experience with Ellie, like she knows how important it is to hide the fact that she is immune, and so she's just in the show just too overly confident in going off and doing this thing in the supermarket, and she gets bit, and you're just like. It's like she didn't even care.
No.
And
Well, yeah.
it sucks. In my personal opinion. So
She's got a good reason not to care, obviously, but
yeah.
it was just a little out of character, honestly, compared to what she is in the second game, for sure.
Because I think in the second game, when you have the scene with her and Dina, like they talk about it, and she says, I'm immune, and remember that little sequence they had, and she's like, Dina didn't believe her at all, and then Jesse come walking in, so that scene's like over afterwards. You know what I mean? You remember that part in the game? This is in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the changes in the, this is the whole point of an adaptation is we know we're not going to get exactly what we got before, but I think that these were the things as a fan of the franchise that I wasn't too happy with. Do you guys have any cons that were made? I mean, those were two of my, like, basically mostly my only cons of this. Other things I just found more interesting than not.
I'd say, I don't know. I mean, I guess it'd be a con for me as it's like Abby in the game. She's just like, she's bigger, and she feels like she's a beast. She's kind of a beast.
She's just like an Olympian gymnast in the game.
Exactly. She's a beast. Like she's a beast in the game, and I think she's really well done as a character in the game, but in the show, I just don't think that
so
the girl that's playing Abby is kind of like forthright and like, gun ho.
In terms of physicality, I absolutely agree with you because Abby is yoked. And I know that Neil Druckmann, he said, the fact that she's fucking huge doesn't matter. And I beg to differ because it does matter. When they're looking for Abby in the game, they constantly reference, oh, you're looking for a girl, this color hair, built like an ox. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So she's just another Joe Schmo in the show.
Yeah.
And Caitlin Dever is her actress in the show, and she's phenomenal. She's an amazing actress. I actually
Yes.
was super excited that she got casted, but I was hoping that she'd be yoked by the time that we saw her post part one, because we do get to see her at the beginning as they're burying her father, and which I thought was interesting also as a viewer watching that part take place. Because in the game, as we know, we didn't get any backstory on Abby at all until like later. That's when we started to learn more about Abby. But this is like giving the viewer already incentive of why she's going to do what she does.
Yeah.
Right.
And I thought that was a very interesting choice because I'm like, oh man, like I don't think people are going to have the hate factor as much as they did in the game. So, but
Yeah,
it's an interesting
think-
choice.
Like her size comparison to Owen is like completely like if you notice in the game, Abby and Owen were pretty close to the same height, and in the show, Owen's like either she's really short or he's like 6'7". I mean, there's like a pretty huge difference between their statures for sure.
Yeah,
But
he's
that's
towering.
a very minor thing. That's just something I noticed. I was like, golly, she's either really short or he's really tall.
Yeah, and I thought that I mean like Abby's I wanted her to be yoked.
I kind
really-
of wanted her to be yoked. I could feel like that she does a good job, the actress on screen. I just felt like that she just feels more badass in the game, like, and I feel like she's just when she's trying to be Abby in the show, she's like pussyfooting around, like,
just a bigger
Yeah.
threat.
Exactly.
Well, but I do feel like facial features and hair and stuff like that, they kind of got that a little more spot on.
Definitely,
with her,
Yeah,
as far as-
I agree with that for
well,
sure.
because in the video game, her actress is Laura Bailey, and Laura Bailey doesn't look anything like Abby. So,
Nope.
but Caitlyn definitely does, and I think that they nailed that. Casting all the way around. Let's talk about some cast. Or Mike, do you have any cons that specific to you?
Nothing that super like just really stands out. I knew there were gonna be differences going into it. I know that Joel's gonna come. He's probably gonna. I mean, he's dead, obviously, but I think that he will obviously make appearances in like flashbacks, like he does in the game. for
Yeah,
sure.
throughout for sure.
So people will still see him. It's just
Talking about casting, let's move into positives because I think the casting is really great all around. I will say the addition of Catherine O'Hara is awesome. I love Gail. I loved that interaction. I love that she's just this like very, very, very seasoned fucking psychiatrist who's just like, like she's drinking scotch on her birthday. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, she says it's my birthday today.
Joel's like, you probably shouldn't be doing that. She's like, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. So I love that. I thought that she was a great addition. I also really loved her whole scene with Joel and how Joel is going to therapy to kind of like,
process some of his like guilt and life. He's probably never sat down and talked to anyone about that ever.
Yeah,
Since Tess anyway.
nobody. He's never talked to Tommy about any of it. I mean, like we got a little bit in the beginning of the game where he talks to Tommy about what happened with the Fireflies, but not to the extent that I feel he needs to talk about his traumas.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the main differences is you get that in the beginning with him talking to Tommy about it, but then you have Gail, so it's kind of like they made that change. It was kind of cool.
yeah, so Gail's really cool, and I also love the fact that like we do get a little bit more expansion on Eugene's character through Gail as she is his wife. And I thought that was cool. I also liked the whole interaction of her telling Joel, like, I hate you. I hate your guts. I know why you did it, but I still hate you. And here it is all out there. Now I'm going to try and forgive you. Just showing Joel the process of what it takes to like heal. Really cool. And then just Joel almost being vulnerable enough to tell her But eventually, obviously he walked away. He was just like, I saved her. And
Yeah,
then
he didn't really tell her. He didn't really tell her what he did with the fireflies.
another positive that I really liked is the expansion on Jackson. I think that we got to see a little bit more of Jackson than we do in the games, unless you're walking around.
Right.
But I like that there's a whole politic thing to it. I like that we got to see the council in the end of the episode. I was like, okay, that's cool. I like the part where Joel is working on the structures with Maria, like in terms of concepts and like.
Well, he was a good contractor, if you remember in the first game. So I mean, that was his forte.
Yeah, exactly. It's cool. It's little details like that. So, he was just like, we can't, keep building. We can't build or what does he say? I'm trying to think of what he says. But he talks about expanding and talking about taking in refugees. And obviously, like, he's like, at some point we got to turn everybody away, because
It says he wants to save everyone, but it's just not possible.
yeah, but it's just not possible. But Maria, tries to sympathize with him and tries to be like, you were a refugee. And we took you in. So, like, we got to try. And I think that's cool. It's more building of Joel as a character. I also like Maria. I think her actress is cool. Doesn't bother me that she's black now. I don't think that, like, I know I've heard buzz on the internet about it, and I'm just like, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah,
she's like barely in the game.
The casting, whatever. I mean, you could say the same. There was that argument in the first season that Sarah's the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Sarah's white, and the other actress was like Puerto Rican. Or
It
something.
never bothers me with race swapping if the character, if it doesn't pertain to the character itself. You know what I mean?
No.
So I never give a shit really, unless it's like a key core history of that character.
Yeah.
But I like that. Also, another little thing, I like that Tommy's a dad. I thought that was interesting. Because he's not. At least they don't ever show that he's a dad in the game.
No.
So I thought that was cool as well. And let's see. I think in terms of the pros and cons, that's it for me. I think that everything else I liked a lot. Yeah. What about you guys? What's going on? What you thinking?
Mike, you want to go first?
I think in terms of production quality overall, they did good. I feel like they maybe used a lot more CGI this time around. Was it the bloater, the big guy? I remember like you fight him several times throughout you fight him by the ambulance in the first game, in the gymnasium.
Yep.
Yeah, is that what they're called? I forgot.
Yeah,
bloaters.
They're bloaters.
So in the first season, it's an actual dude in cosmetics playing the bloater, but I've noticed that in the episode where they are stampeding Jackson Hole, that it's CGI, but at least it looks CGI when they're running through town. Now, whenever Tommy is over here trying to nuke him with the flamethrower, that may have been an actual person, but I don't know. Overall production quality, it's obviously good. I mean, it's HBO. They don't really put out anything bad as far as production quality goes.
No, yeah, they tend to do a good job.
Changes to the story are subtle for the most part, like they were in the first season. I don't know. I don't really have any complaints. I'm enjoying it. It's cool to see kind of, live action of the game. Granted that they do, kind of twist some things, but it's not breaking the story for me.
Exactly.
I know the story. And they also have to make it appealing to someone who hasn't played the game, which that's what some people don't understand is I know the game's got a phenomenal story on its own, but a lot of the audience probably hasn't even played the game. They just want something cool to watch. They want a good story. And so they're not going to do all the little nitpicking things like us hardcore fans probably honestly really want, but they still have to make it appeasing to someone who's never played the game,
Exactly.
in order for it to be successable. Because you want to reach your entire audience, not just, a select few people who played the game. And it's not worth dumping money into at that point.
Yeah, it's a totally different, like you said, it's a totally different audience, totally different target for this particular telling of the story. So it does have to meet a kind of like a middle ground of storytelling per what you would call it, like per audience. But I mean, it's cool for us gamers to see the little Easter eggs, the little hints at like, oh, this is similar. Oh, that's cool that this is, because I don't really care about changes as much as some hardcore people out there, but
Oh yeah.
because I like spotting differences. I like being like, oh, that's cool, that's different. Oh, but I know a lot of people are very stuck in their ways. Like, why did they do that? Why did they change that? And it can't be for you. You can't have it 1-to-1, okay? Because then it's just like, why not just go play the game?
Exactly.
Right.
I definitely like all the changes, even with the characters. I think it just gives it more depth to some of the characters because we don't get a lot of this backstory on some of these characters. Like we have that whole episode in season 1 with Bill. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Bill and Frank.
Oh,
We don't
one
get
of the most
anything.
phenomenal
Yeah,
episodes
we
in
don't
television.
we don't get
Yeah, that was a
anything.
fucking awesome
We don't
episode,
get
man.
anything in the game about Bill and Frank. We get a whole episode about Bill and Frank, and the episode is phenomenal of their relationship. And it kind of builds Bill's character in the game. You can see why Bill's the way he is. So I
Right.
always think
Yeah.
that is really cool. Also, in addition to Kathleen being in the first season with Sam and Henry, like we don't know anything about that, but we got a whole thing about that. So that is also cool. Even in the second season, Kathleen O'Hara, like I said, I'm still playing through the game. We don't know anything. First, he talks to Tommy about his problems. Now he's talking to her. Now, there's just all these little switches to it. The whole backstory of the whole interaction with Seth and the sandwiches and Jesse, Ellie moving in on Dina, all those things that you don't see but you see it in the show. So
Yeah,
it's
and-
really cool.
That reminds me, another thing that I also liked was Dina. I think that Dina is spot on. I think it's
I thought her
Oh, yeah.
casting
phenomenal.
was spot on with the game.
Isabella Merced is her actress, and she is phenomenal. If you've seen some of her movies, she's been in recently. I think it was Alien Romulus was one of her most recent films.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
She's been in a couple. She is an amazing new upcoming actress, and I think that she nailed the role as Dina, not just in terms of acting, but also like
Appearance.
just appearance and everything. Her interaction with Joel in episode 1 is really cool to see because we don't get to see Dina ever have a relationship with Joel.
No, you don't.
And so seeing it in the show is really cool because you see that she kind of admires Joel and she kind of looks up to Joel. And it's cool to compare that the love interest of Ellie sees Joel in this amazing light, and as to her opposite Ellie, like seeing Joel and what he did, like because at this point Ellie knows what he did.
Yes.
And it's a very interesting dynamic, and I can't wait till Dina and Ellie in the show talk about what happened. And then in episode 2, also really, really cool thing was the kind of switch around that we got because, in the game we got Ellie with Dina going on patrol. In this one, we got Dina and Joel going on patrol.
Yeah, and then we had Ellie and Jesse on
Ellie
patrol.
And Jesse. And I thought that was actually a cool change because it kind of got a little bit more relationship building between all of these characters, actually. And that's I thought that was awesome. Really, really cool. Really good stuff. Also, I always love the way that the show does the virus, or not the virus, but the fungal outbreak, because I like the whole hidden tendrils like talking to each other, like
like a hive mind,
like a
basically.
hive mind. I love that. I love that, the guy when he cut the pipe, like in this,
Yeah.
he was just like,
Rips
"Oh
out the roots."
no, bro."
Yeah. And that's how they all knew. That's how they all stopped chasing
Yeah.
and diverted to Jackson Hole.
And that was cool too. Seeing that Tommy wasn't out on patrol with Joel and seeing him kind of hunker down as like a leader in Jackson and take charge and fight off the infected. Really dope. Seeing him divert the bloater, killing him almost like. That was crazy because he was like right up on him before he died.
Honestly,
Oh, yeah.
with all these changes, I thought honestly they were going to kill Tommy.
It was cool.
It was close. I thought they were going to kill him. That's just what I thought.
I think Tommy's too big of a character to kill.
He does, especially when they start chasing after Abby towards Seattle and stuff in the game. Like, there's just too much Tommy left in this story. Part 2, anyway.
Another really cool and interesting thing that I thought was cool was Abby's friends in this show. Very different than the game, because in the show, it's almost like they really don't want to do this.
No.
And in the game, they're very much like, fuck this piece of shit. Like in the show, the only person you had kind of going along with Abby was Manny, and like Manny was like nodding his head like yeah, like but in the game, obviously he was a little more aggressive. He was like, fuck you, Pandeo, like
Yeah. Well, and Mel, the one
Mel.
who gives the sedative to Dina and Owen, where Owen's like, I'm just gonna try to convince her to go back.
yeah, they didn't want to do this at all.
Right, because it goes against the code that she mentioned before she started fucking Joel up. So
Yeah.
yeah.
In terms of the actual death itself, I think that the game does a more brutal. I think that visually it's brutaler in the game, but overall it's more brutal in the show.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
it was more brutal. I felt like we had more dialogue from Abby this time. Like, you don't get any dialogue from Abby,
And that was great. That was great.
she said the reason why and all that other shit. And you get this. Wasn't there similarities when Joel just says, "Well, just get the fuck on with it and just do it already"? I think.
Yeah,
isn't that-
basically. I don't remember if it's verbatim, but it
Okay.
kind of says, like.
he says it. He says it.
He knows
in
he's
both?
dead.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
know-
Right.
He knows he's dead, so he's just like, get it over with. Like,
What sucks too is he can't. In that moment, he wants to say, why he did what he did, but he can't because he knows that he puts Ellie's life at risk. Like, you can see that all over his face.
mm-hmm.
But he doesn't ever say it, and he's just like,
Yeah,
had to come to peace with everything that he's done, and that was it. He did the best that he could, and he saved Ellie's life, and maybe that's what helped him, kind of come to peace with everything. But he couldn't say that to them because then,
She'd
it
be
puts
in
her
risk.
in more danger.
Yeah, and then when Ellie is there and they have her pinned on the ground, that was really emotional in the show because you went through a lot of different, like in the game, it's pure hatred. In the show, it's like just mad, it's sad, it's like, because like she goes from like being super just like that tone, that aggressive, like I hate you tone, to just like that sweet, like Joel, get up.
Yeah.
Like, and
Dismantled her, man.
Yeah,
They
I was just
tore
like,
her up.
damn, dude. I was talking to my buddy about it, and he was like, bro, what if she was like, get up, Dad? I was like,
Yeah,
oh my God, I
man.
would have died.
Yeah, that would have been rough.
I would have, yeah. So, and ultimately, he's gone now. But like you said, Mike, I know that we'll see him. We'll see Pedro Pascal's like just appearing in flashbacks here and there, probably
Oh, yeah.
giving some good life lessons along the way.
You think in Jackson, it's going to be like flashbacks in Jackson within the past 5 years?
Yeah, I think
Like,
we'll get kind of filling.
Kind of like
in
you have
what's
those flashbacks
going
in
on.
the game where he sits down and plays the guitar and like kind of teaches her to play guitar.
Well, yeah, because we as players of the game, we know what's happened, and we know that like Ellie knows what Joel did, and they have their whole falling out and stuff. But we don't know as people who watch the show, they have no idea.
Yeah.
No.
They have no idea why. So, and that's also like in that gray area of a con for me is like I don't. It's hard because I feel like Ellie in the first episode at least, she doesn't give off the "I hate you, Joel" as much as she did in the game. So
No.
and I'm kind of curious to see if like how they're going forward, what we'll get. There's a lot in the game. How far are you in part 2?
I'm in Seattle. I haven't played much ever since I talked to you. So I'm in the part where Tommy, we know that we're following Tommy, and Tommy's after you do all those things in the city and you get to the hotel or whatever that place is.
The movie theater?
The movie theater.
Yeah, the movie theater. And you see, you go in there, you kill those clickers, and you see that clickers are eating away at this corpse. And you see that the corpse has already been killed. So they're just gnawing on it. And they say, this is fresh. They go upstairs. They see those two bodies that Tommy interrogated, these two guys. And I think they're part of Owen and Abby's group.
Mm-hmm. They're wolves.
Is it Manny?
Yeah.
Was Manny one of them that was dead? I think.
No,
I don't know.
I mean, I'm not trying to spoil things.
Yeah.
No.
But that's how far I am.
So
And
you
then-
haven't even made it to the movie theater. He hasn't made it to the movie theater yet, but that's coming.
Oh, okay.
He's like right.
Yeah.
He's right. He's. Right
I need
there.
to. I need to play this week because I feel like they're gonna get to that probably in this next episode.
They're
most
moving
likely.
pretty quick, and there's
They
only
are.
going to be like 9 episodes, I'm thinking, per season. But that's the thing is, part 2's the show, it's going to be multiple seasons. So I heard a rumor that
At least 2, I think.
I heard a rumor that it was 2 or 3. So that's stretching it a lot if it's 3. But
Go ahead, Mike.
Do you? So one difference I noticed to kind of go back when Dina and this just popped in my head too, but when Dina and Ellie were being reckless in that old like convenience store, store. So it showed the roof opening with the snow falling through, and I remember in the game isn't that how you get out? She throws a rope over the rafter and they climb up and get out.
it is.
Yeah. And then the stalker wasn't in there. The stalker isn't until later.
Stalker is.
I
not
remember there
until
being like
later.
3 clickers and 2 or 3 one of those, the other ones that run. What are they called? Why am I
Just
having
run. I know what you're talking about.
it totally just slipped my mind.
Just
and
the
I should
basic
know this.
infected.
Yeah.
But
I remember seeing that. I was like, man, they threw a rope over. I remember throwing a rope over that and then climbing out. But I don't know. Anyways, that was just a random kind of.
no, it's true, and I think that's a little nod at the game. Like honestly, and we didn't even actually talk about. Speaking of that, but we didn't actually talk about the stalker. I thought the stalker was really cool. I thought the stalker was cool in terms of like it really showed that it's kind of like intelligent-ish.
Oh, you mean the stalker
Yeah.
that bites Ellie in the store?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the second time.
Because
Yeah.
in the game, it's very much like, oh, they're just kind of like they hide from you and they try and like flank you, but it's not like it doesn't depict them as intelligent as they do in the show, and I thought that was really cool. Like it was almost like if you looked at it in the face, it was like thinking, and so
Yeah, like it was still cognitive, like the fungus hadn't completely just taken over the brain yet.
exactly. So
Yeah.
that was cool. Yeah, so episode 1 and 2 are done. I mean, that's pretty much the gist of all that happened. You guys have anything else to add before we
Yeah, I have a
start
couple
rating?
things. Yeah, we can talk about a little bit about a couple more things. At least I want to.
Yeah, go.
Absolutely.
I did like the whole montage. If that was Ashley Johnson, I'm not gonna say Williams because that's not her name. She sang the song and
Through the Valley.
Yeah. And I just like the whole montage of how they, you see Jackson burning in the background after the infected attack. I just like how they ride off on the horses and then they're pulling Joel's body back. Like, I don't know if the sedative is still like. It seemed like Dina looked like she was still asleep on the horse, but I'm not really sure if she was or wasn't. But I just thought that ending was really cool to the episode. I thought it was awesome how it ended that way. I mean, with that change, I also like the whole thing with the infected and the hive mind mentality with the, with the tendrils and stuff like within the pipe. You see it in the end of the episode 1 when they're having the New Year's party and one of the sparklers like falls right by the pipe. I don't know if you remember seeing that
kind of
part.
reveals
reveals
the fungus.
And then when the guy hits it, you obviously said that earlier in the episode, he hits the pipe and you can see the fungus like activate like the hive mind to all those infected, which are in the middle of the snow where Abby is. Like, I thought that was really cool there. I like that they kept the consistency on when Joel saves Abby from the infected through the fence.
Yeah,
I thought it was like I thought
cool.
in the show was a little bit more dramatic, which was really cool. I liked how one of the infected is like you could see his hand going through the barbed wire fence or just like I thought it was more dramatic, and I just like they because that's a big turning moment for her for people in the game is when she like meets Joel and says like, oh, this is Joel.
I think that was the for sure moment where I knew, like, because we've been wondering like when's the death gonna happen, right? So, so I think seeing the fence, like I jumped out of my chair. I was like, this is the scene. It's coming. Yeah, that was. If they did a really good job with that scene too, like it pretty much is spot on.
I thought that was awesome. So
yeah,
I wanted to note that as well. Trying to think of other things that were different from the game adaptation and the show.
The dogs was a cool little effect.
The dogs,
her unleashing
were cool.
the dogs. Maria unleashing the dogs.
Unleashing the dogs. The whole attack on. Yeah, actually, let's go into that a little bit more if you guys want to talk.
Yeah,
about
that whole attack didn't even happen in the game. So
the whole attack on Jackson itself by the infected, like
the barrels full of petroleum or kerosene, that was cool. They kind of added that, because that wasn't in the game.
Yeah, it kind of remind me of like when the orcs are attacking in Lord of the Rings. Like, I don't know. I thought that was really cool. I just thought the whole attack sequence was a good change. Like Tommy, like you said, mentioning Tommy being the leader, not being on patrol like he is in the game. I just thought that was really a good change to the show.
Well, we got to see a little bit more of like what Tommy means to the community, or what the community means to Tommy, and seeing him like step in that role, and also seeing like the other. I thought it was funny with those two guys that like were a part of the line and they fled, but when they broke through, I was just like, yeah, I mean, that's fair.
And so that whole scene was also, to what I was referring about earlier, making it appealing or to a broader audience. You have to have like moments of excitement like that, even though it's not to the T of the game. But like that whole scene was like, obviously exciting and is going to be more enticing to people who haven't just played the game. So like that, so little changes like that they have to do for production value to draw, in more viewers. I mean, that just makes sense.
You have to hit beats, and in the game, like games are long.
They are.
This game's like 30 plus hours. That's if you're not doing everything. Each episode of a show is an hour about. For only 9 episodes, so that's 9 hours. Like you're cramming all of this into like a couple of episodes. So
yeah, there has to be differences, but like I said, I like that, and the changes are good, and the story stuff that you don't get on certain characters in the game, you're getting more backstory and how they relate to this universe. That's just
that was one of the things I also appreciated about the Bill and Frank episode. You just get a lot more in-depth detail. Other than like in the game, Bill's like, fuck him, you know what I mean? But now you know why. And even though their demise was obviously not the same because you don't ever see Bill die in the first game. But I'm kind of glad they didn't just like Frank didn't just fucking hang himself, That would have been like, fuck, okay. That's really goddamn sad. But
no, they made it really emotional, and you can see how that tore Bill up because
Yeah.
he was like his best friend.
But you can also see them quarreling and fighting as
Yeah.
a couple, back and forth, which kind of, validates the way he was in the game, if you will, So, yeah, I mean, I just, that was just cool. I just really appreciated all of that.
And
The backstory you get. And Henry being deaf, was it Henry or Sam? Sam, the little boy? Sam was a brother, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, him being deaf was a cool little added thing, too.
And Kathleen, the whole thing with Kathleen with Henry, why she wanted to kill Henry so bad.
I'm excited
Yeah.
to see. I don't know if it's going to be the next episode, but we're supposed to get a similar episode to our Bill and Frank episode that we got last season and this season with Eugene's character.
Which is going to be played by Joe Padalino.
Yeah,
I
Padalino.
think Padalino. I don't know if I pronounce his name.
Pantalino.
He's been in so many movies. He's been in Risky Business. He was
The
the pimp.
Matrix.
He's been the Matrix. He was
Baby
Cyborg.
Stay
No, the
Out.
steak's not real, but it tastes
He
so
was
good.
in. He was the guy in Midnight Run with Robert De Niro. He was the bookie guy.
Bad Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
He was Renfro in The Fugitive.
yeah, he's going to be awesome. I think they're, with just what they did with that episode, I could only imagine what they'll do with this episode. I think it's going to be really cool. We get to see how Eugene, harvests his pot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's going to be
that's
him
what's
has
cool.
a pothead.
That's what's cool is they get to add more depth to like us that play the game where you don't get depth in those characters. They kind of just build that foundation, and so you can kind of see more of, who they were. And I really appreciate like that,
Yeah. All the,
another Bill and Frank appreciation moment type deal,
Yeah, all the changes are cool. Even with the changes with Ellie, with Ashley Johnson playing Ellie in last season, when it shows who Ellie is and how she's immune, and
playing
how
her mom,
playing her mom, and seeing how that character is just pretty much her. I mean, it's just like that. All these changes that they made were cool, and I actually, to me, the whole backstory on Ellie and her playing their mom was like my favorite part of this whole, like, all the changes, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got anything else, Mike?
Yeah, what's
before
up?
we
So I guess I have one con, and it's a really small con. But I me being the resident Oklahoma here, I've got guns and stuff, and I had noticed that whenever they're fighting all the infected, that like the guns don't like have any recoil. Like you see the actions of the guns move and the shells ejecting, the brass ejecting, but then there's like no recoil. So I noticed little things like that. But that's if I had to nitpick something, that would be it. But it's like that in a lot of
That's a fair nitpick.
Stuff now.
That is a fair nitpick.
Speaking of guns, I know we
though.
keep going on and on. Speaking of guns, what happened to Abby's AR when she fell off that hill? Like,
I guess she had
meant
it
to
on a
lose
single.
it?
She had it on a single point sling, so maybe
Yeah,
the
what
clip was
happened
made
to
of
it?
plastic and it broke off when she tumbled down the hill.
Yeah,
But
she
I don't
lost
know.
it completely.
But I noticed that too. Trust me,
Yeah.
I noticed that she fell down
It's like,
with it.
We're talking
and then
about
she walked
guns,
up
so I
without
figured
it.
I'd say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like that. It's like that.
Oh yeah. Thanks to Charlie Sheen, they can't use real guns anymore.
Oh God. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is just as of now with these first two episodes, what would you rate this so far out of 10?
You want to start with me?
It doesn't matter. I mean, yeah,
Okay.
sure.
We'll start with me. Okay. I know that some people are nitpicky about certain things. There's certain things, like I said, we mentioned with the characters' size and just the way they were casted and stuff. I guess that would be where my con comes in, I guess. But overall, the changes that they made to the game makes you intrigued to watch the game. Where if you're a viewer of the show, I should say, and you've never played the games, it intrigues you to go back and play the game. I mean, vice versa, I guess. So I think, in all, the way it's presented, I think it's an 8 for me. That's just
Nice.
just the way the cinematography is good. Everything, the story, the way it's changed, it's all good. I think it's just to me.
Sounds good. Mike, what do you think?
I think Anthony's score is pretty fair. Like I said, overall production quality is good, of course. you have to expect some changes, like we've already discussed. They can't do everything like verbatim until exactly like the game. Honestly, it would be not that exciting. You know what I mean? Because we've all of us here have already played it. Anthony almost for the most part, but I'm kind of I like the changes they've made so far. Like I said, the foundation of the story is still there. Just kind of how they take different paths to get to the same events. You know what I mean? And so like that's totally cool. Character wise, we already talked about Ellie's character. I think personality wise, Bella kills it. Obviously, looks, in my opinion, leave much to be desired, but it is what it is. Yeah, I think that 7.58 is a fair rating for me as well.
Yeah, I'm sitting at an 8. I think that I'm not going to reiterate what you guys said. I agree with everything that you said. I'm just very curious to see where we're going forward. This is going to be the first time that we rate this episode or rate this season. We won't rate this season again until we have finished it. So I just kind of wanted to see where we were at.
Since we're combining both of these episodes.
So it seems we're all on the same page with a lot of the things. And I was just curious. So
kind of builds curiosity for all the viewers. Like, what are they going to rate it at the end of the season?
Yeah.
We could hate it. Who knows?
Maybe. It depends on, like I said.
I'm almost 90% certain that I'm going to love this season. So,
oh yeah.
As a huge fan of the game as well, I'm excited. So now to end this episode, I have some trivia, or not trivia, but fun facts that I've pulled up like I do in most of our episodes. And I'm going to just read them off for you guys, and we can talk about them if we must or whatever. So, Gustavo Santaolalla.
You're so bad.
That's the composer who writes the music.
The music composer for video games, The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2, was brought on to compose the series soundtrack. Mm-hmm. So,
as a guitar player, I knew that.
Yes, yeah. The Mandalorian producers gave Pedro Pascal permission to work on the series. He is reportedly earning $600,000 per episode.
Wow.
Making him one of the highest paid American television actors.
That's crazy. Awesome. Pedro's a good actor.
He is. He's great. He's I saw a meme of Pedro collecting all of the franchises like Infinity Stones.
Oh my god,
that was funny.
What's that movie he's in with Nicolas Cage? And every time I see him, when he's tripping balls on shrooms, and he looks over and he's like,
yeah,
he fucking smiles at Nicolas Cage, man. This shit
so funny.
It's hilarious.
What movie is that?
It's got a long title, but it's a movie about Nicolas Cage playing himself. Like Nicolas Cage is playing Nicolas Cage, and he gets like invited to go to this guy's
talking about.
Like compound, basically.
Yeah, I know. I just don't remember the name of the movie.
And hang out.
I gotta look it up now, man, because it's
yeah, look at
it. What's it called?
I feel like it's like the undying or
It's something. The unbearable weight of massive talent.
Yeah, the unbearable
That's what
weight
it is.
of massive talent.
Yeah, no, I remember it.
Good ass movie.
It was, yeah.
What's your third favorite movie? Paddington 2. He's like, what do you mean Paddington 2? And then Nicolas Cage and him are watching it. Nicolas Cage is like crying. He's like, you're right. Paddington 2 is amazing.
I have to watch that movie. I haven't seen it.
So funny.
Yeah.
Such a random movie too, because like I hear that from everyone. Okay, so let's see. In the games, the fungus is spreading through spores in the air. For the show,
the cordyceps. No one's mentioned that.
Yeah, cordyceps. For the show, they were replaced with tendrils. And we knew this. Neil Druckmann.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Neil Druckmann explained that this was a deliberate decision he made early on during the show's development, as he wanted to make the world more believable and the fungus more frightening.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, let's see. A non-gamer, Pedro Pascal, watched his nephew play the beginning of the first game because he lacked the skills to play it himself. he found Joel to be so impressive, but was concerned about imitating the games too closely, instead choosing to create a healthy distance and allow the showrunners to decide the characterization.
That's cool.
Let's see. The actors who played the clickers were avid fans of the game before they were cast and worked hard to emulate the in-game movement as much.
I mean,
as
they
possible.
nailed it pretty damn good.
Yeah, they did. I thought they were cool. Even the little bit that we saw any of the infected in the first season. I mean, even the one with the episode with Tess was pretty cool. Like,
Yeah.
I thought those were cool.
And then I think that a lot of these fun facts are just based off of season 1, and we're not talking about season 1. We're talking about season 2.
You're talking about season 2, but I know why they're not talking about them, because this
it's not
guy
all
right
out
here
yet.
is behind. Why haven't you played the game? Spoiler alert.
I mean, you've only had 5 years to play it, brother.
Yeah. I don't have a PlayStation 5 audience, so I've been waiting for the PC version to come out. So
There is some good fun facts on here though, but I'm trying to do the ones that aren't ones that we already don't know about. This one I didn't know, but this is a long one. Matthew McConaughey, Mahershala Ali, Hugh Jackman, Michael Fassbender, John Bernthal, Gerard Butler, Josh Brolin, John Hamm, David Harbour, Keanu Reeves, Chris Hemsworth, Harrison Ford, Tom Hardy, and Joel Edgerton were considered or auditioned for the role of Joel Miller.
Some of those, no.
Yeah, some of those, no.
Michael Fassbender would have been a poor choice.
Right?
He just
Yeah.
doesn't have the tone,
John
Tom
Bernthal's
Hardy,
too
maybe.
hard.
Tom Hardy, maybe.
Not John Berthal. I think David Harbour might have been okay, maybe.
No, I don't
No?
see him. I don't see him as Joel. I think Gerard Butler's an interesting one.
Gerard Butler
Yeah, but
definitely
his
looks
accent
like him.
stands out though. And even when
Exactly.
so that wouldn't have fit. But I think that Tom Hardy does a pretty good American accent. I think he probably could have pulled it off. I think his beard is a little more fitting to
Yeah.
Pedro's beard. All due
Tom
respect, is a
Hardy
little,
for
little
sure.
patchy.
Gerard
Harrison
Butler.
Ford is so fucking old. I don't know.
Yeah.
why.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
He would have been like grandpa. He would have been like Joe's grandpa. Man,
Yeah.
he's too old, and I love Harrison Ford. But
Hugh Jackman, I've always heard is a big fan choice because he basically
looks
would be,
the part.
He'd be playing Logan again, basically. So
Right.
I think that's fair. One I didn't think about was Josh Brolin. I think Josh Brolin actually would have done a pretty damn good job.
yeah,
He's got that Texas Southern twang to him, so I think that's interesting. John Hamm's
Liam,
interesting.
you said Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth.
No.
He's too fucking buff for Joel, dude.
too
No,
buff,
no Chris
too
Hemsworth.
pretty.
We're getting all that
Chris
protein, bro. It's the
Hemsworth.
apocalypse.
No way.
He's a pretty boy too.
Yeah.
He's
He's Thor and only Thor. I don't know.
Yeah.
yeah. So that's interesting. I wonder who of those actors actually auditioned.
Gerald Butler.
Be interesting to know.
This is Cake Town.
Yeah. This is Jackson Hole.
Jackson Hole.
Let's see. Let's just do one.
How many
One
more we
last-
got? We
one-
got.
there's-
We're at. Let's see here. We're
in an hour.
Folks, we're at an hour. We're in an hour right now.
Yeah, we're in
so
an hour. So
we got 10 more minutes if you want, but yeah, that's what we're at.
It's okay. I think that we're fine here. I was gonna do one more, but it doesn't seem that there's any actual good ones. I think later on when we get more episodes, we'll have
As soon
more
as
to
this
go
guy
over.
gets caught up.
As soon as this guy- well, yeah, I don't want to spoil things for you either, but I'm very curious for you also going forward. I think this is really exciting. It's always exciting to meet somebody who hasn't played the game for the first time. So I think I'm excited to see what you think is going through. I know that The Last of Us Part 2 is one of the biggest and most controversial games like to date, basically. Like it had fans so divided.
It did, man.
It's very, very large. But I just had so many thoughts playing it. And I think, obviously once you finish it, we will talk about it more on here.
I'm sure once we get to the last episode and stuff, and
Yeah.
it's because of that we can talk about those things then.
And then I can talk about the controversy and what people liked and what people didn't like, and tell you my opinions.
And by the way, everyone, Mike will be with us on this whole journey through this season.
It's
Yay.
great. We have a cool guest the whole way through. This is exciting stuff. I love this. And we're happy to have you, Mike. So
Thanks. No, thank you guys for having me. It's been awesome. Look forward to doing more episodes.
We can do more episodes, not just The Last of Us.
Yeah, we can do more. All right. So that's going to be it for today's episode. Join us next week. And we will have more for you after the following episode. We'll try and stay as current as possible. We don't really have a release schedule for these episodes just quite yet, but we're going to try and do it, as in a timely manner within release of the episodes. Obviously, probably Thursdays will be it, or Fridays will be it, after the Fridays after the episodes premiere on that Sunday. You know what I mean? So just for a ballpark reference for you viewers out there, thank you all so much for all of your support, for hitting that like and subscribe button down below, for helping the channel grow. And we have many changes coming, so look tuned for that. If you follow us on Instagram, I do post a lot of stuff on there, and that's a good place to find out some information. And yeah, thank you. And we'll catch you next week.
See you, everyone. Bye, Mike.
See you guys. Thanks.